All right, it is time for today's episode of the Daily BLP. Thank you, everybody. Today's April 29th, 2025. Appreciate you guys joining us. I think we're on 26, right? 26 today, episode number 26. Well, we've got a good episode set for you guys today. We're going to talk about how we're closing April out with our lead generation and our sales when it comes to Bobby G and the work he's been doing. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the tech market recently and the stocks regarding kind of some of the big tech players. Talk about playoffs a little bit, and then a little bit on how to cut work off and cut life back on at the end of the day. So let's get right into the first part of the show. So we don't have Bobby with us. I think I'm going to bring Bobby on the show a little bit later in the week or maybe the beginning of May just to talk a little bit. I'm set to be reviewing the month with him at the end of the week. But just a little kind of recap. We're here. There's only a day or so left today and tomorrow left in April, and wanted to check back in, see how things have been going. So it's been a kind of a funky month because myself, I haven't been available, and I know that's played in a little bit to the work Bobby's been doing because, I told him at the beginning of the month, you can still be calling and stuff, but we're not going to be able to book any appointments consistently through the month because I don't know how things are going to play out with me taking care of my wife. I don't know when I'm going to be available to jump on calls or go on to actual in-person appointments. So this month, Bobby's made 376 calls, which is pretty good. How many working days were there in the month? Like Monday through Friday days. Can you check on let me just check on my calendar. I don't want to mess around too much. Let's run some quick some maths because I haven't had a chance to do that. So April, there's 5, 10, 15 plus 4, 19, 20, 21. Looks like 22. That's a typical month of working days. So what's 376 divided by 22? Anybody that good at math? Or can I get my calculator up before you guys can do that? 376 divided by 22. It's about 17 calls a day. I think that number's a little lower than previously. But again, I told him to kind of curb his enthusiasm a little bit when he's making his daily calls. He booked 3 appointments. I know the outline says 2, but it was actually 3. 3 appointments for us this month. That's pretty low compared to previous months. That means his conversion rate is at about a half a percent. So there's definitely, I would say, room for improvement. But the big asterisk there, guys, is that, I told him that I'm not going to be available this month for calls anyway. And we kind of have a standing agreement not to book calls too far out in advance because when we do that, they tend to be no-shows. And to try to book them, if I'm on the phone, I'm talking to somebody, let's try to get them in within 7 days at tops 2 weeks for that appointment, because anything outside of that tends to not happen because the enthusiasm dies out and people end up either canceling, rescheduling, or no showing. So any thoughts from your guys' perspective on those numbers?
Yeah, I think he's like I said, I think he's crushing it. He's going. He seems like he's really, really hustling. I think, yeah, I mean, especially 17 calls a day. I think, like you said, that's a good kind of I think happy medium for the number. I mean, there's chance to get more, but then at the same time, do you really want to make sure it's qualified leads? Really want to make sure you're getting everything out of the call and putting your full effort. So I think that's really solid in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And we're trying to hone in quality over quantity. He's definitely good at the quantity thing, and I think he's kind of fallen into a groove and starting to learn and understand that getting the foot in the door is good, and I don't necessarily want to avoid those situations. But at the same time, if I'm going to travel 2 hours to talk to somebody, we want to try to make sure there's at least an inkling of a need and not just, I'm going to drive a couple hours. Hey, my name's Brian. This is us. This is what we do. Oh, you don't need anything. Okay, bye. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So,
Exactly.
Manish,
Yeah,
any
because
thoughts from you? Oh, sorry, Matt. Go ahead with your
Uh,
thought. Sorry, I didn't.
yeah, I was just gonna say the last thing too is I think, and maybe not the same for Bob, but more so like when you have big teams of callers, when you put that number on there, like, hey, you got to hit, 30 calls a day. I think some people can kind of get complacent and just call someone to get that call number too.
Just to get
So I
the
think you kind of want to avoid that with that as well. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I mean, I can remember back in the day making tons of calls, and I would get into that. Okay, I'm at my 30, moving on,
Yep.
whether I
Yep.
had some results or not, as opposed to, my goal for the day is, let's say I want to book an appointment or a couple appointments, or I want to talk to so many people, or I want to move the needle in this way, so then I'm just going to stay at it until I get there. You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, I got my 30 in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Got my
Yep.
got
Yep.
my 25 in, or whatever that is. Manish, what do you think?
Oh, yes, Ben. So for calling, yeah, I completely agree. Like 376 is not a bad number. As 17 calls in a day, it's not a bad number if it is being called on your targeted accounts. So as I know, because making a random call, we can make it like 50 or 60 or more than 60 or 80. We can make 80 calls or 100 calls in a day. But when we identify the targeted accounts, then we have to reach like what accounts is going to work for a business. So creating a list, identifying your business needs and doing these calls, I think this is a good number. But definitely there is room of improvement. It should be somewhere around 25 or 30 is a good targeted account numbers if you're making calls by identifying the accounts. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think that we got to find the happy medium of a little bit more volume, but not at the expense of the quality or the strategy. And one thing that I know Arsenal's really good at, because I look at these things and I understand how they train their people, is they're really good at, they'll do a call through of whatever list they're working, and they're putting a bunch of notes in. Okay, left voicemail, got a hold of the gatekeeper, got past the gatekeeper, talked to this person, and they have a bunch of acronyms that they're using so they can quickly do those kind of things. And then they'll sweep back through maybe a week later through those ones that they called, and they'll pick out and approach the gatekeepers a certain way. And they'll pick out and approach, okay, these are the ones where I got actual email addresses, or these are the ones where I left voicemails. There is a method behind their madness, as opposed to, I've got 2,000 people on a list. I'm going to call them and do 100 a day until I get those 2,000, and then I'm going to throw that list and go to a new list because I didn't get anything right. I think they've got 8 or so touch attempts per record before they'll leave that record alone for a while, right? So, yeah. Anyway, I'll see. We'll have a meeting on Friday. I'll meet with Bob, and maybe the following Monday we'll talk a little bit about how that went and kind of what some of the strategies are going into May, and what some of our goals are, and looking back at the appointments he set. What are some of the things we can do to bring some of those opportunities to the forefront again? What are the status on some of them that we're interested? So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, uh, takeaway there is, I think one of the things I've been really bad at is getting together with Bob. This month I got to kind of throw out the window because this month has been crazy. But getting together with Bob on a weekly basis to kind of review that week's month, how things are populating from the week to the month, and then the meetings that he's booked and I've got on. What's happened? What's our strategy? Is it cold? Do we have a next step? How can I leverage Bob? Because when I think I talked about this a couple episodes ago, I got together with his manager, Joe, and Joe's like, hey, leverage Bob in the follow up process. If you go on a discovery meeting, but there's not a lot of fruit, or there's a little bit, and you got maybe a soft agreement in someone's hand, talk to Bob and have him leverage follow up until they're at a point where they're ready to take another step or something. So that's something that's on my plate to try to do better with Bob. So, all right.
Yeah, that sounds good. I would say this process should be called a business development process, because when we say the cold calling, that is like a person is making calls on a random sheet, like he has a target, it's like pattern of number. But when we do it on a strategically, we send emails, we do a certain number of touch points like 8 or 9, 10, whatever is the number, we do follow-ups, identifying the business needs. So this is the whole process is business development. So I would say we should, rather than say the cold calling, or we should, yeah.
That's a really good point. Hey, Dak, that little pop-up just popped up on the screen. Can you get rid of that for me so I can see everybody's face? Cool. Thanks, bud. Um, uh, I wholeheartedly agree. I've never thought of it like that. Hey, we're trying to hire a cold caller. No, we're trying to hire a business development strategist or specialist. And cold calling is one method that's a part of the old business development strategy, right? That's good. That's good. Awesome. Anything else before we move on, fellas? 3, 2, hearing none. Okay, well, bye. Awesome. Okay, let's move on. All right, so I thought it'd be cool to I'm not a big stocks guy yet. I probably should be. I probably need to be taking more of the money I earn on a monthly basis and investing it into the market. Um, it's just I've always been very reticent of, since I don't know a whole lot, taking the time to learn it, and or who can I trust to do it for me. But that aside, I was like, okay, what are the biggest kind of tech companies? How are they doing right now? Because if you kind of just look at headlines, if you kind of look at, what's going on in the market, and it's like everybody thinks it's doomsday, right? And I think a lot of that is narrative to kind of make us feel a certain way or react a certain way, right? But I looked at, and how's Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Tesla, how are they doing, right? So those are some big tech market players. I would say probably some of the biggest, right? There's a few others, but I think they're the name value. People are going to recognize those things. How are they doing? All right. So just some quick stats. Let's start with Apple. Current price of Apple is $210.14. Now, again, just a reminder, this is just a snapshot. When I look at trends, I don't have a 30-day trend analysis or where were they at the beginning of the year. I'm just looking at right now. So the current value of stock of Apple is $210 and change. It's up almost $1. I'm guessing that since maybe the previous closing time or something like that. It's up almost $1.80. Its market cap is 3.87 trillion. Does anybody know what market cap means?
I'm pretty sure it means and I'm no stock expert either, but I'm pretty sure it
Put
means
yourself
like
out there, man.
the most amount that stock could be out there, like the amount that like the max amount that total stock could ever add up to. I'm pretty sure.
Market capitalization, or market cap, is the total value of a company's outstanding shares of stock. Ah, there you go, man. I think that was a pretty close. Bad, dude. There we go. All right, you're hired, man. You're my new financial analyst. Go. Oh man. It's calculated by multiplying the current share price by the total number of shares outstanding. For example, if a company has 1 million shares trading at $50 each, its market cap is 50 million. It's a key metric to gauge a company's size, influence, and performance in the market. Okay. All right, we just learned something today, fellas. Market cap. All right. So that gives me some understanding. So 3.87 trillion is Apple's market cap. So we could find out how many stocks are out there if we just divided its market cap by its current price, right? That's kind of how that works. Interesting. And all right, let's see how Microsoft's doing. Microsoft's current price, $391.16. It's up. And so, I'm not saying it's up versus, technically it's down 75 cents right now, or 0.19%. But $391 for a stock, that's not a cheap stock, right? Imagine like back in the 90s or 80s, you bought Microsoft for a couple pennies, right? Market cap right now is 3.13 trillion. So its market cap isn't as high as Apple, but its individual stock price is higher. So what does that tell us, Declan? He's like, nope, I got nothing, Dad. I got nothing. Oh, okay. We'll have that conversation. If the individual stock price is higher for a company, but their market cap is lower, than a comparative company. What do you guys think? And what's better? What does that tell us about? I mean, I think the only thing that I could get from that is the total number of stocks out there in people's hands, right? Has to be less for Microsoft, or their market cap would be higher, right? Is that a fair assessment? You guys are killing me today. You guys are so
Yeah,
chatty.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it too, because I'm not sure what would be better, because I mean, it seems like
Depends on how much of that stock you own, right?
yeah, exactly. It seems like, from where my mind goes, is Microsoft is the more valuable, because that's the price. But then when you look at the market cap, so yeah, I'm not sure. This is why financial analysts get paid the big bucks, I guess,
Right.
because
I mean,
this
if we had 50 shares of Apple and we had 50 shares of Microsoft, where would more of our asset value be? Right?
right.
We'd have if we decide, you know what, I'm getting out of the market. It's about to blow up. I'm selling. Who's buying? And I was to sell my Microsoft 50 stocks, and then I sold my Apple 50 stocks, which would yield me more greenbacks.
Yep. Yep.
Microsoft,
Well,
right?
it would also depend too, though.
More than twice as much.
It would also depend, though, the yearly increase. Like, Microsoft might be at 391, but they might have started at 400 at the start of this year.
Should have made some money.
And so Apple might have started at 200 and they're at 210. So there's that aspect to it too, of, the increase price change as well.
Right, right. Which is interesting. I like, how do you, this is things we could learn as we go along, guys. But, how do you, as a company, how do you get more stocks out there? I mean, is it like you create them out of the ether? I'm just going to sell more stocks, maybe, and then people buy them. But here's another thing. This could be another reason why Apple's individual stock price is lower, because just like in the real world, as opposed to the, I think stock market's part of the real world, but whatever. If I have, okay, let's use this example. Why is gold more valuable than silver?
There's less of it.
There's less of it, right? Supply and demand, right? So, and it's harder to find, right? So there's less of it. It's more valuable because it's more expensive to get out of the ground, right, than silver is. Silver is, obviously, there's a bigger supply of it. It's easier to find, so there's more in the market. So the less of something there is available to get, the more value it has if it's desirable, right? Same thing goes for the money in your wallet or in your bank, right? If you've got $100,000 in savings 10 years ago, that $100,000 would have bought you more than your $100,000 in the bank does today, because there was less money circulating in the market, right? So that money, that 100,000 grand 10 years ago, was worth more, even though the dollar, quote unquote, amount today is the same. So same goes for, I'm guessing, in stocks, is that, let's say there's 1,000 stocks of Apple, but there's only 500 stocks available to buy of Microsoft. I know those aren't the real numbers, but you see what I'm saying? If there's less available to buy, that can increase their value too. Anyway.
Yep.
How's Google doing? Google their current stock price is $160.61. It's down $1.34. Its market cap is $1.88 trillion. That surprises me. Honestly, that surprises me a lot. I thought Google was a lot closer to where Microsoft and Apple were when it comes to their overall value. Because the way it makes it, when you think about it, is like Google runs the world.
Yep.
Right? Interesting. All right, Amazon. How's Amazon looking? I don't have a market cap for Amazon. Maybe someone could find that while I'm blabbing. But the current price of Amazon stock is $187.70. So the price is higher than Google. But I don't know what their market cap is.
It's 1.98 trillion is their market cap.
Okay, so it's
So right
more
there
than
with
Google.
Google. A little bit more than Google, yeah. Or not a little bit, 0.10 trillion is still a lot of money. It's just yeah,
But
it just looks
they're
like that because it's the
I would say they're neck and neck, right? They're
Yeah.
like, that surprises me.
yeah.
Manish, does that surprise you?
Honestly saying, this stock thing is something, something
Is a mystery too.
I don't understand stocks. This is
Okay. That's
so
okay.
I never invested in stock and I don't invest in stock.
I think we all need to understand them more. But here's the thing, like the stocks aside, I mean, Amazon and Google from an age perspective, they're similar ages. They got started relatively around the big picture the same time. But I always saw Amazon as Amazon operated like its first somewhere between 10 and 15 years, never making any money, losing money every year, just kind of getting invested money and kind of building up its infrastructure and doing what it's doing. But Amazon worth right around the same as Google. And I just don't see, Amazon is obviously a big distributor of things. It sells things. But there's all these other services now, right? There's their like movie and TV platform, and there are a lot of different things that you can do through your Amazon stuff. But that really surprises me. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I think it's I wonder because it says with so the market cap is the amount of like, the amount per share and then you times it by how many stocks are out there. And so I think the board and the directors and all those individuals, they decide like, hey, let's put out more stocks and things like that. So I wonder if there's any internal things where they're holding back or, how much like internal play has to do with any of this as well. Because there's a certain where like
Would they want to raise money for the company, they create more stocks, put them out there, and hopefully people buy. That can drive down the overall price of your stocks per stock, but it can give an influx of money. I'm totally just spitballing here. Is that true? It sounds like it would be the case, right?
right.
But that being said, I'm just still surprised because I always thought Google was a much more valuable company. I knew Amazon was big and stuff, but I just thought because of the huge influence of advertising and the things that when you think of the internet, hardly anybody does anything on their computer, on their device without interacting with something that Google has its hands in. You know what I mean? Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I was just gonna last thing is I was thinking when you think of the product, Google's out there all the time, but the price difference from having a Gmail account and all that stuff, which is sometimes free, to owning an iPhone, anyone that has an iPhone, that's over at least $1,000. I think that probably has like I was just doing some research and it was just saying, Apple's high profit margins, that really has a big thing. Because almost everyone's got an iPhone and that's $1,000 in your pocket. Pretty much everyone's got a Gmail, but that's essentially free for everyone too.
Yeah, not very many people have, a Google Pixel, right? I think
Right.
they're all right. I think people like them, but I think that's a big part of it. But there's definitely money in manufacturing products and selling them. There's a lot of other people get a piece of that $1,000 pie. But I guarantee you're right. I don't think it costs. I don't think it. Maybe it does. I don't know. That'd be just another thing to look into because a lot of companies that make hardware make them at really close to margin or at a loss because what they're really trying to sell is what that phone does. But you look at, you know, Apple's making a cut of every app that's sold on the App Store.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're probably getting some ad dollars of the free stuff that goes out, because those companies that need to put their free stuff on the App Store, they got to be kicking back to Microsoft something. You know what I mean? Not Microsoft, sorry, to Apple. Another thing too is like Apple knows how to get you. They know you're going to take a lot of videos. They know you're going to take a lot of pictures. They're super high res now, so they take up a lot of storage. You don't have an iPhone very long until it's screaming at you, buy more cloud storage, buy more cloud storage. A lot of people are doing that. So anyway,
Yep. 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 Yep.
cool. All right, real quick, Tesla's current stock price is at $285.88. It's actually up a buck. So maybe that has something to do with Elon recently saying, hey, he's going to mostly sunset his Doge interaction. I think he's still going to be active in it, but he's just not going to be as front and center. But, with all the goofy stuff of people burning Teslas on the lots. And I mean, big picture, they probably didn't do a whole lot of damage, just the optics of the thing. And like nobody wants to go buy a car thinking that someday they're going to go outside and someone like blew it up. It's like, it's ridiculous. I hate even giving that any play, but I really just I would love to find all the people doing that. And I'm a pretty nonviolent guy when it comes to people, but I'd love to just tar and feather them all. Like, and just put them out there in front of a camera. And it's terrible to say, but like, to do that kind of stuff is ridiculous. And these are the people that care about the environment, but they're burning liquid lithium-ion batteries. Well, what happened to Matt?
Yeah, I think my camera. Hold on, I gotta go adjust this camera.
Oh, that is so cool. It gave us the like your TV channel went out thing.
That's all we got right now. Hold on,
you
stand by.
you still exactly. And there should be a stand. Oh, dude, you got to edit that in and make it. And
It gives me a deja vu in 90s when TV channel is not bugging.
or you're watching TV late at night and suddenly your TV station like no more programming. This is what you get.
Exactly.
So we need to cut in some elevator music while that happened. Nice. Oh, and now Matt, somebody just disappeared. Matt, you were talking about Tesla and something happened.
We're back.
There he is. Cool. That's funny. You just lose the battery or what?
Yeah, it's the battery's out. I mean, it's plugged in, but I guess it's using so much battery, it's probably like just staying at that 0 mark.
That was actually cool. We can have some fun with that in post. Anyway, cool. That was kind of fun. Little learning about the market segment. Maybe we could do some more. I thought that was kind of cool. I think we all need to learn a little bit more. Maybe we can bring in like an investor or something or somebody. My father-in-law is good at that kind of stuff. Anyway, okay. Moving on. Segment 3. Sports. What's going on? NBA playoffs. We got another round 1 sweep. So it looks like the Cavs swept the Heat. So we got 2 sweeps in round 1 so far. Cavs swept the Heat, and the OKC Thunder swept the Grizzlies. That's interesting. I remember both of those teams came in the league at the same time years ago, right? So it's always been kind of, I think they all kind of have like an expansion rivalry. But the Thunder just worked at the Grizzlies. I feel sorry for anybody who's running into the Thunder this year. Pacers Bucks tonight. They're leading the series 3-1. Knicks Pistons as well 3-1. Celtics are up on the Magic 3-1. Nuggets are tied with the Clippers. So I have a feeling there's a pretty good chance we're going to see another series end tonight. I'd ask you, Manish and Mano. I want to ask you guys anyway, even though you guys don't watch. Let's see, Matt. Who do you think is gonna be? Who do you think is gonna their series is gonna come to an end tonight?
What is it? Is it Denver up 3? What is
No, Denver is tied with the Clippers right now 2-2. So they got to at least play 2 more games.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I mean, Cleveland just beat the brakes off of the Heat last night. That was pretty crazy. I think Boston could probably end it tonight. I think, it was kind of crazy to even think that the Magic were in the playoffs. When I saw the Magic in the playoffs, I was like, what the heck? How are they in there? And then I forgot they had Paulo Banchero. I think I'm butchering that name, but that rookie on there. But I mean, Celtics are really, really solid. I don't know about the Knicks. I think the Pistons are a really good team, and they're gritty and they're young. So I think the Pistons got it tonight. I could see the Celtics finishing it out tonight, though.
Yeah. What about? I know you guys are just gonna randomly pick a team though, but Manish, who do you think's gonna win tonight? I'll pick a game. Pacers or the Bucks? Just pick one.
Can you please repeat the options?
Okay. Pacers play the Bucks tonight. The Pacers are leading the series 3-1. The Knicks are playing the Pistons. The Knicks are leading the series 3-1. And the Celtics are playing the Magic, and the Celtics are leading the series 3-1. So of those 3 games, which one? So if the Pacers, Knicks, or Celtics win, they win the series and move on to round 2. So which one of those 3 do you think are going to win tonight and close out their series?
I'm completely guessing. I'm just giving you. It's a guess. So I think this SpaceX.
The Pacers?
What do you say? Yeah, Pacers.
Okay.
Pacers.
All right. Manish is picking the Pacers over the Bucks.
I don't have any idea about
Okay, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. This is a scientific study.
Think about exactly.
Nope, this is scientific stuff. So, you know, Matt's not following it that closely, but he knows a little bit more about the teams and about the league and what's going on than you do. You know absolutely nothing. Nothing. So we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to see who got theirs right. So maybe you both did. Maybe neither of you did. We'll see. I think I'm going to go with I'll take the one that you guys didn't pick. I'll take the Knicks over the Pistons tonight. Matt's got Celtics over the Magic, and Manish, you've got Pacers over the Bucks. Manish, I hope you're wrong. I don't want the Bucks to go home yet, but the Bucks, they're just not consistent. They haven't been playing well. I think it's a coaching problem with them. They can't figure it out. Anyway, moving on. NHL playoffs. Panthers defeat the Lightning 4-2, lead the series 3-1. Stars overpower the Avalanche 6-2, leading the series 3-2. Upcoming game 5s tonight. Maple Leafs and the Senators. Toronto's up 3-1, so they could close that out. Hurricanes versus the Devils. Carolina's up 3-1. They could close. Hurricanes could close that out. Golden Knights versus the Wild. It's tied 2-2, and the Kings versus the Oilers tied 2-2. So, I don't know. We'll see. I really want to get around to watching some games because I love watching hockey games. But I just feel like I never have time to get into it. Matt, you ever get any hockey in?
I never really did. Back in college, a lot of my buddies are really, really into hockey, specifically the Capitals up in DC. Everyone, and I don't know. I never really got into it. You know, I watched some games here and there. I just never really got into it. I'm not sure why. It's a really interesting sport. It's super interesting because they play just about maybe a little bit less the same amount of games as baseball, but how much more intensive it is. I mean, I really
It's a
respect the
brutal
athletes
game,
for that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
when you
tough.
watch them play, they are working. It's like
Yeah.
as hard as a soccer player. You know, like they're just going 100 miles an hour the whole time. And skating on ice takes a lot out of you.
Yep.
You know, you got to have crazy strong legs and stuff. And body strength, crazy. Is the Avalanche? I mean, the Avalanche they always put together good teams out in Colorado. Are they pretty popular? Are they a big deal?
Yeah, they're a big deal. I want to say they won it all last year or so, or they were very close one of the 2 years, but yeah, pretty sure very big. I think they play at the Ball Arena, same stadium as the Nuggets, I believe. So yeah, very big. I believe they're very good as well.
They seem to always be good.
Yep.
Which is interesting. So anyway, moving on.
It's all.
Oh yeah.
I would like to add one thing. Hockey is all national game. It's all national name. It's the national scope.
Field hockey, right?
Like, see,
Not ice hockey.
hmm,
Well, so field hockey, which is a little different.
what is the difference between both?
So
mean,
I got homework for you. Homework for you, Manish. You get home tonight, do a little search, watch some highlights of ice hockey, NHL, watch them, and then you'll know what we're talking about. So, yeah, it's actually a really fun sport, especially live. I would say of all the sports I've ever gone to see live. Oh, we lost Matt again.
I'm gonna unfortunately be cameraless the rest of this.
Totally gonna superimpose a picture on this.
We're coming to the end, but this will be my screen for the rest of this episode.
So, yeah, ice hockey live is awesome. It's just awesome because it's constantly going. You really got to be watching to be following the puck. And there's collisions and there's like people getting banged into the sides and noises and people flying all over the place. Sometimes there's fights where people are allowed to physically get in a fist fight on the ice. It's fun. It's fun to watch. You got to check it out. All right. Moving on to our last segment, guys. I was trying to think, what could I kind of pull out of the hat to talk about today when it comes to, life and business and stuff. And one of the things I thought about is sometimes it can be tough to turn off your work day when you get home. Sometimes, you have a good day or a bad day and you find yourself at home. If you've got family, or even if you don't, you're constantly thinking about how your day went or prepping for the next day. And that can be okay every once in a while, but if it becomes your routine, work becomes your life, and then there's no distinguish from that. And for some people, I think that works. But what I've found is when you have other people in your life that you're accountable to and responsible for, it's not fair to do that all the time. So, this is a thing that I can struggle with sometimes, and love to hear from you guys or the audience if it's the same. But, you know, um, one thing that sometimes helps me is the kind of the drive home. That 30-minute drive home helps me because I can use that time to decompress, listen to some music, or think about what happened, clear the calculator, and when I get home, kinda be ready to go. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I forget to even do that, and I'm still thinking about work or having a work conversation on the way home, which I hate doing, but sometimes it's the only time to talk to certain people because I'm working till the moment I step out of my truck to go inside. And this last month, working from home most of the time, it's hard to do that because I turn things off here. And I really never turn off. It could be 10 o'clock at night, and I come back downstairs to get some stuff done because I had to stop in the middle of it and didn't get it done. So that can be a struggle. What about you guys? Do you guys run into those things too?
I would like to add here one thing, Brian. That's a very nice topic. We should have a one proper segment on this, episode dedicated episode on this, because what I felt during my leadership role from last 4 years, I am struggling every day whenever I get to home, like after my work, I'm sleeping. Every time work is always running in my mind. So usually I started, making a conversation with my family members, either my brother or mom or my fiance or anyone. So whenever I talking to them, I don't know how it comes, like every time comes my work, what I have done.
You're not even paying attention to the conversation, right? You're just thinking about work. And they're like, "Hey, are you there?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about something." And that's okay every once in a while, but it upsets people because you're not there with them, you know?
Exactly, exactly. But it shouldn't be happen like that. It shouldn't be happen like that. We should, very focused during our work time, 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours, whenever we are available in office. After office hours, we shouldn't think about work. We should involve with our family time, whatever we are doing. If we are doing anything for our personal growth or anything personal, we should be involved on that because I don't know uh, what is happening with this current era or generation with me or recent days. Uh, we all are very involved with our work on in our profession, but that is hampering somewhere in our work-life balance, and it is not good for our mental health or well-being. So it shouldn't be happening up like this because you cannot be every time think about work. It will be
It consumes
hugely impactful.
Yeah, it consumes you, and then you judge your success or happiness based on your work alone. Matt, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I really, really struggled with this when I was first starting out with kind of entrepreneurship and pivot of just working all the time and just feeling like that's what you kind of have to do. And I went through a period where I got burnt out and had to take a little time off a few years ago. And I think I learned is kind of setting your boundaries is really, really good. So what I'll do is I'll even put myself on do not disturb because nothing to do with people reaching out to me or people emailing me. It has to do with me and how if I see something come in, I'll just be encapsulated and things like that. So I think one really big thing is I set certain things on my calendar, like personal things, like kind of
Mm,
personal blockers as well, to make sure I also take care of kind of we talked about at the beginning of the series, my non-negotiables of no matter what, I got to get these things done. So I always make sure every day I have some time to take care of my things. And then at the end of the day, I try to my best to turn things off, kind of go do not disturb because, nothing to do with people reaching out. I have no problem with that. It's more so if I see it, I'll get encapsulated by it and it'll take me. So those are kind of the maneuvers, I've done. Yeah, that's what I've found for me personally.
yeah, those are both good, and I think it comes down to creating those boundaries, like you said, Manish, having being able to switch off and really kind of engage with that time when you're not working, which can be hard to do. One of the things I think to add to the boundary thing is like creating a buffer in between. creating a buffer of something that allows you to concentrate on it. And you literally can't concentrate on work anymore because your mind is consumed with this buffer. And the buffer can be turned off when when it's time, like when you get home. So when I talk about this before the show starts, talking to Deck, I said it'd be so awesome if I had a time, if I could shorten the end of my day a little bit by maybe starting it earlier, which I kind of do. Start the day, work earlier so I can get everything done I need, but in the day a little bit earlier, so I don't have to cut into the home time, but have like my workout time in between at the end of the day. Because like Deck, when we're working out, we're just working out. We're in that moment where I'm not thinking about work and my meetings because I'm concentrating on not dropping the weight on myself or something.
Mm.
But I think, but when you get done, you've used that stored up kind of angst and energy, and then then you can just kind of let go and go on to doing the next thing. So that's one thing I might try to figure out how to do. So anyway, what do you guys think? Do you guys have any kind of buffers you think could help you guys with some of those things? Good to see you again, Matt. Glad you're back, bud.
Yes, I'm back. Nothing that comes top of mind. Mainly just kind of the blocking off certain times for yourself, I think is a good buffer to do, or like you were saying, the gym time, or you shut everything off. I think just giving yourself certain times where you just shut things off, I think is important.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys. Well, I think we're gonna wrap things up. That was a great show. Awesome. I think we got some really good stuff in. Learned a little bit. Got some new marching orders for sales process and routine. Learned a little bit about stocks and stuff, and talked a little bit about how to fix things and turn work off. So great show, guys. Thank you so much. We're gonna cut it for today, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks, Matt, Manish, Manoj, Harshit. You're there too, bud. I see ya. Declan, thanks, bud. We'll see you guys tomorrow.